So, you think you're ready for the next ticketed event? Well, Niantic is kicking up the difficulty to 11 during the next global ticket event, so they can get you to spend your precious gems on potions. Hello hunters, my name is Waranjalong, and I'm going to do my best to stop that from happening. During the next global event, we're getting introduced to 3 endgame monsters that will be best in class for each of their respective elements or status. If you were lucky enough to partake in Shibuya, then maybe this won't be your first rodeo. But it will be for the rest of the world, myself included. We are being introduced to Nergigante, Silver Rathalos, and Gold Rathian. While Nergi is the only Elder, all of these are of Elder Dragon power level. Thus, Silver and Gold gear will start at grade 6 upon crafting. There are several other incentives to partake in the event, such as a 30-minute monster refreshes, and then the massive unlimited EDI and Huntathon experience. That alone sold me a ticket during the Dark Daydreams Carnival ticket. But Niantic added some additional incentives of a unique best-in-class chess piece that has Crit Eye 2 and Lock On. Thankfully, upgrading the event gear to grade 8 will be pretty dirt cheap and basically only require tickets, so if you plan on participating, that should not be a problem. Now, this game is played in 2 dimensions, virtually and in real life. I have a list of tips that I've learned from my experience in the last global event, and how you could best take advantage of it, while also preventing burnout. Let's start with the real life tips and the precautions. First off, if you plan on being a gamer for a majority of either of these days, you gotta clear your schedule ahead of time. Make sure any loved ones or your job knows that you are unavailable for any of the days that you plan on play. Unless there's an emergency, of course. You're not a monster. Next, stay hydrated and bring snacks and some sandwiches with you. Pretty basic stuff, but it's pretty easy to forget in the excitement of the event. Next, and this was a big one for me, take a break if you are burning out. I know we're all gamers and we want to maximize our grinding while the event is active, but if you push your body past your limit, you will feel it. If you feel like you're burning out, go until you run out of HP and then, take an hour or so break, and then you'll be fully healed and ready to go for the next round. The first day I took very few breaks, and I started to feel very stressed and fatigued going to bed the first night. The second day I took like a couple of hour-long breaks, and I actually felt pretty good for the entire day. It also doesn't hurt to take Monday off if you're capable of that, but that's really up to you. Another important one is if you're driving, stay safe, vigilant, and do not rush around. Do not forget the basics of driving because you want to get to the next monster. If you get into an accident because you're playing a game, it will be something you regret for the rest of your life. On the same note, do not play the game actively while driving. Pull over anytime you hunt a monster, even if it's just a 6-star that you can farm for materials. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're walking or biking, be wary of your surroundings. You are a lot more vulnerable outside of your car. If you feel unsafe, don't take any risks. Finally, pack a portable charger with you. The breaks you take later in the day should probably be a good time to charge up, but you don't want the fun to end because you're suddenly at 15%. And that's about all of the real-life tips that I was able to come up with. So let's move on how we can prep in the game itself. First off, for the game tips, stock up on 15 potions and 10 well-done steaks. If you want 15 potions for Saturday, then you will need to start saving them on the Thursday before. If you get a potion bundle in the store, you should probably consider snagging one of those too. Next, clear as much of your inventory as you can. Let's be honest, you really don't need all those Puke materials or node materials that you're just sitting on, so downsize all of them. And don't even get me started on Wyvern Gem Shards. In addition, try and spend your event materials as soon as you get them. Don't let them clog your inventory. Break time could be a good time to clear out some inventory space if you think you're starting to run low. Next, save a decent amount of armor refinements and weapon refinements and Zenny. Keep track of what node mats or other monster materials that you're going to need. Here's a graphic of the materials that you're going to need to bring the Silver Rathalos and the Rathian armor to grade 8, and the weapon to grade 10. And if you're using the dual blades, well, have fun with that. Nergigante should follow the same upgrade path as Kushala and Teostra, so you don't really have to worry about preparing any additional materials for them. Now for most of us, these monsters will be our very first time fighting them, and they are extremely dangerous. It could help your survivability if you learn a couple of the movesets ahead of time and watch a couple of the fights leading up to the event. I know I've heard a couple people on Discord saying that Silver Rathalos apparently has a head swipe attack that is pretty brutal and has a pretty wide hitbox, so knowing when that's coming and how to avoid that could help a lot. If you're having trouble finding any of these videos, then look no further! Shameless plug for 3 of our videos where our buddy flew out to Shibuya himself and collected some content for us. Next up, decide what your priorities are. Nergigante will likely be permanently around after the global event, or at least I sure hope so, but global events are bar none the best way to farm Elder Dragons, so it's definitely worth it to get a little bit ahead of the tail game and hit at the very least any of the 6 stars that are in the area. But it's incredibly unlikely to get a 10.5 Elder weapon from one weekend of farming, so Silver and Gold could be likely with some R6 doubling, but have goals going into it and know what you're working towards. Gold Rathian priority gear is the coil if you care about Resuscitate. The weapon is best in slot poison, so the arms and the legs will be a big deal for poison builds. And the chest randomly has Partbreaker too, so that's just good utility in general. And then Silver Rathalos is going to be best in slot fire. Hammer and dual blades can finally compete in the fire department. Priority armor is going to be the head and the legs, which provide crit element. The arms will be pretty decent with latent power too, and then potentially the chest if you can fit it into your fire build. But also, let's not forget the Silver Rathalos drip is just fine. Next up, we have Nergigante. Keep in mind, when you equip Nergigante armor, your special gauge will not fill. You can start the fight with one special, but then that's going to be it for the fight. Priority armor for Nergigante will be the helmet for the Critical Eye and Artful Dodger, and then there are the legs, which are for gunners, with their Reload 1 and Recoil 1. Moving on, you can consider prioritizing Nergigante in the afternoon, then Silver and Gold after hat hours, but I could probably only do that myself if I was in a group that could keep me awake. And again, there's no way I'm walking around at 2 AM even in a group. Next up is a little one, but you're going to want to have gear ready to smelt with the Silver Rathalos and the Gold Rathian Drift Stones. Silver Rathalos will drop Crimson Stones, and the Gold Rathian will drop Cyan Stones. If you don't have your fire build ready, then this is a very good time to farm your Crimson Stones and get that Basarios coil with a nice fire smelt on it, and pretty much any of the Silver Rathalos gear will benefit from a Crit Eye smelt on it, so the gear really goes hand in hand together. The event-exclusive weapons are just blast, although since it's so cheap to upgrade the exclusive weapons to grade 8, I might just make one of each so it's easier to clear dailies than just having a grade 8 weapon in my back pocket for pretty much any of the weapon types. The heavy bowgun could have some additional utility with paralysis ammo, wyvern ammo, and cluster ammo. And in addition, the weapons and armor will not require refining materials until grade 9, and won't require wyvern gem shards until after grade 8. So at the very least, bringing every piece to grade 8 should be worth doing if you can get enough of the tickets. And then that brings us to the end of the list that me and the rest of the Farcaster crew were able to come up with. If you have any other tips, then go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a like. And if you want to see some more Monster Hunter Now content, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell icon. Anyway, this is Waranjalong signing off. Good luck to your global event experience. Oh yeah.